Labor began the way weather does when it's been threatening all day. Quietly, with a pressure that kept changing its mind. I timed the first few contractions while sitting on the edge of the bed, listening to the house settle. I didn't wake my partner right away. I wanted to be sure. I always want to be sure. When I called my mom, I framed it carefully. I told her where we were, how things looked. I left space for logistics. She filled it with them. "We can't come," she said. "Too busy." I asked what kind of busy because that's how conversations in my family worked. You ask gently, like you were feeling your way across ice. She explained schedules, obligations, a sense of being needed elsewhere that sounded official enough to be true. "I understand," I said. And I meant it. I had understood for years. At the hospital, time lost its edges. Pain arrived, receded, returned with opinions. The nurse asked routine questions. I answered them the way I answered everything, competently, without drama. When they asked who would be with me, I listed names I trusted. My mother's wasn't one of them. Not because of that call. Because of all the ones before it. Between contractions, I scrolled my phone to keep my hands busy. It was a reflex more than a choice. That's when I saw the photo. My brother stood by the grill, smiling in the way he always did when our parents were around. Like he'd just been told he was doing life correctly. My niece held a certificate with both hands. There were balloons, a caption from my mother bloomed beneath it, full of pride and punctuation. Achievements. Celebration, family. I didn't feel betrayed. Betrayal implies surprise. What I felt was clarity, sudden and exact. The kind that doesn't ask questions. I didn't cry. I didn't text. I didn't take screenshots like evidence. I opened my settings and did what I'd learned to do at work when projects went sideways. I adjusted access. It was almost boring. Clicks, toggles, confirmations. I removed their ability to see my posts, my stories, my location. I narrowed the circle until it fit the reality I was living in. I didn't block them. Blocking would have been loud. This was maintenance, labor intensified. The room filled with purposeful motion. At some point, I handed my phone to my partner and didn't think about it again. When the baby arrived, the world reduced itself to weight and warmth, and the strange calm that comes after pain has kept its promises. The nurse placed my child on my chest. I counted breaths. I learned the shape of a face that hadn't existed an hour before. No one announced the moment. There was no chorus of relatives. Just us and the quiet beep of a monitor keeping time. Later in the dim I took stock of who had shown up. My partner, steady and pale. A nurse who hummed while she worked. A doctor who explained things twice because I asked her to. It felt full, complete. I slept in fragments. Morning crept in like an apology that didn't expect to be accepted. I was adjusting the baby's blanket when the door opened with a confidence that didn't belong to the room. My mother stood there, already mid-expression, already offended. "Why can't I see anything?" she said before she said hello. "Why didn't you answer?" A nurse appeared at her shoulder, hand lifted slightly, not to stop her, to pause the room. "I need to chat," the nurse said, voice neutral, eyes on her tablet. "Who are you here to see?" "My daughter," my mother said, as if it were a credential. The nurse looked at okay. It was a simple question. Asked the way policies are asked when they've been practiced enough to sound kind. My mother's face changed then. Anger rushed in to fill the space where assumption had been. "I'm her mother," she said. "I came as soon as I could." The nurse nodded. "We still need permission." There it was. The moment I'd never had growing up. When someone else named the line and held it steady. Authority didn't arrive with a speech. It arrived with procedure. My mother turned to me, eyes sharp. "What is this?" she demanded. "Why are you doing this?" I didn't answer right away. I watched my baby breathe. I felt the weight of a decision I'd already made last night. In a different room, with different stakes. I changed my privacy settings. I said finally. My voice surprised me with its calm. And I want it to stay that way. "You're punishing me," she said. "For being busy," I said. "I'm deciding what I can handle." The nurse shifted her weight, still waiting. The tablet waited too. The room felt patient. "This is ridiculous," my mother said. "Families don't do this. You're being dramatic." I thought about the barbecue photo. About the caption. About how easily drama is assigned to the person who finally stops accommodating it. "I'm not," I said. "I'm being specific." The nurse nodded once. "Okay," she said. "I'll come back later." She didn't look at my mother when she left. My mother stood there, empty-handed. Her anger didn't know where to go without an audience. She said my name the way she used to when I was small, half warning. I didn't move. I didn't explain. Explanations had been my currency for years, and they never bought anything lasting. After a moment that stretched, she left. Later, my phone buzzed. A message from my brother, careful and confused. Something about misunderstandings. Something about how Mom was upset. I read it. I set the phone down. The day moved on. Nurses came and went. Paperwork happened. My baby slept with a seriousness that made me smile. I knew what this would cost. Holidays would feel different. Stories would be told without me in them. I would be framed as difficult by people who'd never learned another language. But I also knew the boundary hadn't required cruelty. It hadn't needed a speech or a scene. It had held because it was true. In the afternoon, light slid across the floor, stopping just short of the crib. I watched it and thought about what my child would learn by watching me. Not what I said, but what I allowed. I didn't feel victorious. There was no relief, exactly. Just a steadiness I wasn't used to. Like standing on ground that didn't shift when someone else moved. That felt like enough.